Hello and welcome to this edition of FYI. I'm Elaine Chang-Baxter, the Director of Partnerships for Montgomery County Public Schools. With us in the studio today is Nancy Austin. Nancy is the Supervisor of the Montgomery County Public School Budget Unit. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Can you briefly tell us what your office does on behalf of the school system?
Yes. We are the Budget Unit, and our team, under the leadership of the Chief Financial Officer, provides support for the Board of Education, the superintendent, as well as external and external partners in developing the operating budget. And once that budget is approved, we then implement and monitor the budget on a daily basis.
Wow, big job.
Yeah.
So I understand this past summer was the first time your office decided to host a Summerrise student. Why? How did you guys make that decision?
It was our first time. Part of the leadership team for the Chief Financial Officer, there is an office that actually hosted the prior year and shared their experience with the leadership team, and we all thought it was a wonderful opportunity to join in as a group and have a shared experience with the students.
Well, thank you for hosting some students. As we try to recruit some new hosts this school year to expand opportunities for students and the number of students that can participate, we're trying to capture what a shared model looks like, and your office did a really great job of implementing a shared model. Can you explain what you guys did during those 3 weeks with the students?
Yes, thank you. There are 5 offices that report to the Chief Financial Officer. So within those 3 weeks, the 5 offices shared the time with the students. So each one of us had a couple of days. And for me, it allowed the students to have a more concentrated, more meaningful time with each office. Every office, of course, could say something like, oh, we're so busy and I don't know how we're going to squeeze it into our schedule. But doing a shared model made it so much more easier and I think meaningful for the students and for the staff.
So can you share what are the 5 different departments you guys have and who shared the kids?
Yes. So the Employee Retiree Services unit or department, the Budget Unit, of course, the School Finance and Operations team, the Finance Services team, as well as the Controller's Office. And of course, the Chief Financial Officer, who took a day or 2.
Right. So everybody, you guys basically came up with a schedule for the students from the first day that they showed up. I know that I actually tried to meet up with them at some point and they were just too busy.
Yes. We actually we recreated the schedule, what worked best for all of us and how we could better serve the students in their time with us.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. And you guys hosted 2 students. Is there a benefit to hosting 2 students?
For me, I think hosting 2 students allowed the students to have a shared experience with one of their peers. They could talk amongst themselves and ask those questions or share thoughts and ideas about their experience, have somebody to go to lunch with, or their breaks with. It also kind of gave that extra level of comfort, I think, for not only the students, but for the team member who's hosting the students throughout the day.
And did the students know each other before they started Summerrise?
No, and that's one of the nice things I felt is that the students had an opportunity to meet new people who also had a shared interest.
And do you think they became friends, during Summerrise and after Summerrise?
I can't speak to after, but I definitely know they seem to be very close. By the time the students came to the Budget Unit, it was close to the end of the 3 weeks, and you could tell there was some bonding there that I thought was really great that they had that opportunity.
That's wonderful. What do you think are some positive impacts on students, or what have you heard from your students since hosting Summerrise?
I think it broadened their perspective of what MCPS financial world looks like and how not only are we just sitting in central office working and making sure the budget is here and it involves all of the activities that represent what the superintendent and the board would like, but it also helped them understand how these activities filter down into their school and how it truly impacts them on a day-to-day basis, how we have allocations of teachers and paraeducators and principals, and we monitor those, and the funding for their textbooks and instructional materials and so forth. So what we do not only is in central office, but it also filters down to the school. It gave them a really full perspective of that. Plus, the other nice thing is everything that we were talking with the students about what we do, whereas we have a $2.6 billion budget, it also filters down into real life skills. So how do you manage your own finances? Everyone has, income coming in, you have bills you have to pay, you have goals that you want to meet. How do you evaluate what resources that you have to help support that? And I felt this program allowed that education and information for them to experience.
And I think that's so important to emphasize, that this program has taught kids these transferable skills that they can apply in their future, whether they decide to go to college or start a career or just have a family down the line. They were probably thinking MCPS is education, teaching. They probably never gave any thought to budget, and now they've got this great big picture that you guys are able to present.
Right, exactly. And at the end of it, we gave the students financial planners so that they could actually take the experience that they had with our office and try to apply that to their own
That's absolutely
personal.
amazing.
Yeah.
I probably need some tips on financial planning. What about the results, the impact of the students that on your colleagues and yourself?
Oh my gosh, and I can speak for myself in saying I think it's a wonderful program. I'm happy to hear we're trying to expand it and to take in more students so that they can have those opportunities. I wish I had it when I was in school. It allows you to be able to experience, is this really what I want? Or what areas of finance I may want to go in. I mean, when the students spent time with us, they got to experience what we do in the Office for Investments, or accounting, and with us it's budget, or employee services. So it involves a lot of little parts and pieces that make the whole, and it allows them to know what's out there, and is this really what I'd like to do?
That's great. Do you feel the kids were well prepared to have this opportunity with you guys?
I do. I could tell when they walked in that they were dressed and ready to go. They had their pen in hand and paper, and they really understood what the program was about and the expectations of it. And I really think in being so prepared allowed them to achieve the best from the program.
As we try to recruit some more hosts so that we can expand these opportunities for our students, what tips would you suggest, or what would you say to a host that's watching this program or somebody that's debating on hosting?
I would say try it. I think I have to say that the budget team walked away with a wonderful experience. I hope that the students walked away with the same. I think they did. We said our plan is to not make this just sharing information, but again, trying to make it relatable and trying to make it fun. And in doing so, I think it was a great opportunity. In using the sharing model, it allows it to be a little bit easier on an office. I can understand where somebody say, oh, my time is so tight, I have so much to do. But if you share the time amongst other areas, it makes it a whole lot easier, and it makes it more meaningful.
I definitely think that when we've approached some companies to host, there's this fear of, oh my gosh, what do I do with a student during 3 weeks? But this whole shared model approach has been helpful for companies to realize, oh, okay, this isn't too huge of a ask, and the shared model is great, and then the kids walk out with this big picture of how this organization functions as a whole, or part of an organization functions on behalf of the bigger organization.
Yes, exactly, and that's why I think the shared model works so well for our office.
That's great. Are there any other tips you'd have to share for hosts or for students that you'd want to comment on? I encourage people to just jump in, help out. I think it's great to give the opportunity to the students. If you have any questions, please give us a call. We'll be happy to share what we did, as well as some of the activities that we did with the students. That's such a nice offer. So you guys are going to host students again coming up this summer? That's
yes,
great.
We are.
Okay,
yes,
we'll
we
count
are.
on you guys. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I'm Elaine Chang Baxter. I'm the Director of Partnerships. Join us next time on FYI.